Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be working on this PlayStation 3. This is a PS3 which I purchased a couple of years ago and just completely forgot that I had in my pile. I've got piles and piles of consoles which I've bought over the years and just never got around to working on. So I'm trying to go through a few of those because obviously they're just gathering dust at the moment, and it would be nice to get some of these working so I can either keep them for myself as part of my own collection or resell them, whatever. But this one has got the yellow light of death, red light of death, whatever you want to call it. So it flashes yellow, goes green, and then goes red. There's so many different bleeding names to these things, I just don't know anymore. But yeah, I bought this on eBay a while ago, a couple of years ago. I don't know how much I paid for it, unfortunately. It would have been around about the £30 to £40 mark, something like that. And I found it in my pile just gathering dust. So we're going to be trying to fix it. But if you're new to the channel, my name's Dakota. I'm an electronics technician, but I mainly work on games consoles. I do work on other stuff as well, though, so if that's the sort of stuff you're into, be sure to get subscribed and turn on the bell notifications, and that way you don't miss any future videos. Also, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. It does help the algorithm, and leave me a comment in the comments down below to boost that algorithm as well. If you need a repair for yourself, if you've got a PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, or anything else, get in touch at www.thecodat.repair. And if you need parts and supplies for games consoles and other devices such as MacBooks and laptops, check out my online store, consolefix.shop. I might just sell what you need, but you've got to give me some money in return because, well, money grabbing YouTuber. Anyway, with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay, so as you'll see here, like I said, this does try to turn on, but it just shuts straight down. So we're going to get straight to it. But one thing with this, someone's decided they want to mod it. Yeah, don't do this to your consoles, guys. I don't care what console it is, don't do it to it. The reason is, these consoles, millions and millions of pounds have gone into research and development into the cooling of these. Millions, if not tens of millions, into the cooling of these and the airflow. And the cases are designed in such a way that the air flows over components, kind of like in a wave. You know, so when you cut holes in the console, you end up destroying all of that, you know, all of that airflow, all of that, whatever you want to call it, all of that positive pressure, negative pressure, whatever it is, and you end up causing it to go places it's not meant to go. Air escapes from certain places, and it doesn't cool all of the components. So, yeah, just don't do it. Just keep it serviced, keep it dust free, put fresh thermal paste on it every 18 months or so, and it should run absolutely fine. So anyway, I'm going to stop ranting now. I don't know how long this has been sat for, so I'm going to put some gloves on. That, and plus I'm a smoker and I've got nicotine hands. So yeah, I'll put some gloves on. I'm going to get this apart. I'll fast forward through this because I'm not the best at taking these things apart. I'm not really, you know, absolutely used to them. So yeah, if you want to see a teardown of them, then I'm sure there'll be one online. iFixit have a few good guides. Not sponsored, obviously, because, well, iFixit are mean and they don't seem to like my channel. So yeah, they don't sponsor me. But yeah, I'm sure they've got a good guide, or, you know, you'll find a good guide on YouTube and stuff like that. So yeah, let's get this thing apart anyway, and we'll see what we can do about fixing it. Right, so I'm just about inside this console, and let me just say that the person who worked on these last is an absolute moron. So not only have they stripped the hell out of two of the screws, so one there and one there, right? So I've had to basically cut them out with side cutters, or rather use side cutters to get a grip on them to be able to twist them, because they've stripped the head out of the screws. But number two is they've wrecked the Wi-Fi antenna. So this antenna is basically knackered. So this, well, I'm assuming it's some sort of a ferrite bead or something, I don't know. It's just knackered. It was hanging off, well, hanging on by a thread, basically. So yeah, there's some anchor points at the back on this Wi-Fi antenna, and the it was basically hanging on by these two anchor points on the back. These two here have been ripped off, and I mean, not that that's the end of the world. I can actually fix that, but it's not the point. Like, the person who worked on this is just an absolute moron. Like, how can you strip 2 screws so bad that they can't come back out, and then you just leave them there? Like, you're just like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. And not only that, but I mean, they did that to the bottom of the case. I mean, really? Come on now. Yeah, anyway, I think I'm just about inside this, so let's just remove that. This has got the original NEC tokens on it. Anyway, yeah, just a couple of morons, right? Just a bunch of morons. But never mind. Okay, I really do not know what is going on here, but this is absolutely glued. I don't know what they've used there, but it's absolutely glued. Like, how, man? How? What the actual hell is going on? Like, that was just completely and utterly glued on. Like, that heatsink is knackered now. But that was like, that was insane. Like, to the point where it's, like, that should just come off there. It should just lift straight off, right? Am I a moron or what? Like, am I stupid? Like, that should just lift off, surely, right? So, how is it that I've had to yeet the crap out of it and it's pulled the heatsink clean out of the case? Like, that just don't make sense. Like, what the hell has been used on this? Like, is there something I don't know about the way these come apart? Like, do you not lift the board out and then you get to this? There's no hidden screws, right? Like, am I a moron or what? Because obviously you can't get to those screws till the board is out, right? So you can't lift this shroud off. Not on these ones. This heatsink's ruined now. Like, what the actual hell? Use some industrial strength glue on this thing. Anyway, I'm going to be changing all that case anyway, so, I mean, it's not a big deal. But still, look, am I missing something here? I mean, apart from half my glove, because I've had to literally fight with this damn thing just to get it off, just to get it apart. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Alright, so I've got the board here. And obviously, I mean, all of this thermal paste needs changing and stuff, but the first thing I'm going to want to do with this is I'm going to want to connect, damn it, I'm going to want to connect up to UART and just see if I can figure out what's actually going on with this, because if we get a RSX error code, then obviously it's not going to be worth continuing or anything. So I'm going to need to connect up to UART on this just so I can figure out what's actually happening before I go ahead and do any kind of work to it. Alright, so we've got the UART point just here, and if we look at the board, so this is the DIA-002, and if we look at the board, we've got 3 points here which we need to focus on. So we've got this point here, and this point here. So this one here is the Syscon transmit line, so Syscon TX. The one just below it here is Syscon receive, RX. And this one here is Syscon diag. So we need to connect up to these points here, and we basically need to read the error logs from the Syscon. I'm going to add some flux here, and I'm going to grab some leaded solder. And I'm just going to tin up these joints, or well, these test points, so as I can solder some wires to them. So, nice shiny joints, there we are. Beautiful. Alright, so now we're ready to solder some wires to them. So, I'm going to connect up the RX line on my UART reader to the TX line on the board. So that's going to be this one here. There we are. And then I'm going to set the RX line on the board to the TX line on my reader, which is going to be my yellow wire. So that's just like this. There we are. Okay. And then finally I'm going to connect up a ground point. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure if I actually need the diag wire. I know it has to be connected to ground, but I'm not 100% sure if I actually need it or not. So the diag wire is going to be just below the TX and RX lines. I'm not sure if I have to connect it up to ground or not. I'll try it without, and then if it doesn't work, then I'll try it with. But I'm not an expert on these, and I've only done a handful of Syscom work on these. So, yeah. I might get it wrong the first time, but I'll figure it out. Don't worry about that. Okay, there we are. Connect up the power supply. First thing I want to do, before I even connect up to UART, I'm going to test the 12 volt output on the power supply and just make sure that that's working before I go any further, because, well, if the power supply is dead, then it's not going to work, right? And sometimes with these, the power supply can show itself as working, so it'll give you 5 volts. So, for example, like that is right now, but it won't be outputting 12 volts. And if it's not outputting 12 volts, then it's not going to power on, right? So let's just have a look. Yeah, it does output 12 volts. Okay. I'm sure you can take my word for that, but yeah, it is outputting 12 volts, so that's absolutely fine. Right, so I'm going to connect up to the UART reader then. Right, okay, so that took me way longer than it should have done. Turns out I had the wires backwards, so I've had to resolder them. I'll show you that under the microscope in a bit, but we finally got it authorised now. So I'm running the PS3 Syscon UART script here. I've got COM13 and CXR, and then I've authorised it. I've got auth successful, so now I can run the error logs. Or at least I thought it was that. Let me just double check here. Oh, it's errorlog get 00. Hey, there we go. Okay, so we get a 3001 error code, 3003, 1002. Okay, so we've got 3003 and 1002 and 3001 as well. Alright, so I'm gonna look up these error codes. Bad power supply. I'm sure 1002 is the caps, the NEC tokens rather. 12 volt power supply. Okay, that could be because I've tried to power it on. Power failure on the main core of the CPU bulk filter caps, e.g. NEC token. Yeah, okay. 1002, I'm pretty sure is NEC tokens. Yeah, okay, so NEC tokens, alright. Yeah, it looks like we've got a NEC token error on this. So that means we're going to have to do some replacements. We're going to have to install the mod boards. Yay! So we've got 4 NEC tokens on this side, and then we've got 4 NEC tokens on the other side. And yeah, we're going to be removing all of these. Last time I worked on this, I did accidentally slice into the board, so I'm not going to be doing this with the blade this time. I think I need to get some dead boards and give that some more practice and stuff. So I'm going to use hot air, I think. So I'm going to use 440 degrees Celsius at 40% airflow just to start off with. And I'm just going to heat up the entire board, or rather I'm going to heat up the area which we're working with. So I'll just keep moving the hot air backwards and forwards. Just get some heat into the general area. Alright, once the board has warmed up a bit, I'm going to bring the heat in closer and focus specifically on the NEC tokens. So really, it's a lot safer to basically slice these away, but I just feel like I'm not really experienced enough for that, so I'm going to be using the hot air method. They are going to melt, of course. Okay, so there's two. And that's 4 removed from this side. I just realised I've moved the board out of the way, but never mind. So that's 4 removed from this side. And then we've got another 4 on this side of the board as well. So these ones are a little bit more awkward, just because the board itself, the NEC tokens are right next to the CPU and GPU. The core and the RSX. But yeah, let's just crack on while the heat in the board, get them all done at the same time. And there we go. Good. So that's all of the tokens removed. It does take about 5 minutes or so, but it's fine. While there's still warmth in the board again, I'm going to just tin up these areas. So I've just got to add some leaded solder to these, just so as I can prep it ready for the replacement PCBs. Okay, there we go. So that's that. Now ready for the mod board, but I need to prep them first. So I'm going to need 8 of these. As you can see, I've got 8 of them. And yeah, these are going to take a little while to actually prep and get ready. But I'll basically show you how I'm going to do 1 or 2 of them, and then I'll fast forward through the rest and skip to the part where I install them. But basically the first thing I need to do is I need to just tin the back of them like this. So I'll just prep the back. So this is where they're going to be soldering to the actual board. Okay, and once that's done, flip them over. And we're going to do the same on this side. So you can see we've got a bunch of pads here. So C1, C2, C3. These are going to have some tantalum capacitors on them. And then the other ones on the bottom are going to have some ceramic capacitors. The ceramic capacitors are obviously optional, but I'll say obviously, they're not obviously optional. They are optional, but I like to add them anyway. And when I sell these on my online store, because this stuff is open source, but if you want them pre-made and pre-assembled, I do sell them on my online store. They're obviously not cheap, because, well, the ceramic capacitors and the, the ceramic capacitors are cheap, but the tantalum capacitors are not. So yeah, but yeah, that's ready, and we are ready to drop some components on there. So once you have all of the pads tinned, you're going to need to add some capacitors, like I said. So you're going to need 3 470 microfarad low ESR caps on these big pads here, so just like this. So one there, one there, and one on the end, just there, with the positive side being towards the middle, like so. These ones are these ones are polarity sensitive, so the polarity does matter on these ones, but on the other ones it doesn't matter. So on the other ones you're gonna just need the I think they're 1 microfarad or 10 microfarad, I can't remember off the top of my head, but you're gonna need 6 of those. These are not absolutely necessary, but yeah, 6 of these caps, and basically that will make up your tantalizer, which will replace the NEC tokens. So we're just going to place them down. So I'm actually using used capacitors here. I'm taking them from PS4s, but obviously if you don't have PS4 donor boards, it's probably going to be easier for you to just buy the components you need, or you could just buy these from me pre-assembled and they'll have the correct values on them. So basically these components here make up the exact same as what the NEC tokens were replaced with on the PS4, which is why you can take them from the PS4 to replace the tokens. So while I've still got donor boards for the PS4, I'll be using these, and then once I've finished those, I'll obviously be using brand new components. If we've got donor boards available, we may as well make use of them. So this is going to make up your tokens, or your tantalizers, and that's ready to go. So next what we need to do is just flow these down. So I'll just do that with hot air. I've got my hot air set at 440 degrees Celsius, 40% airflow. You might want to lower the airflow. I'm going to drop down to 10% just so I can flow these down, and then I can increase afterwards once I add some more flux. It won't take long because these boards are very small. They don't take a lot of heat to melt the solder. But once the solder does melt, you'll see that these are all pretty much just going to jump into place. Some people prefer to use solder paste, but I prefer to use solder. I just think it's better, personally. But use whatever you wish. It's your choice. So I'll just add some flux here. I'm going to just add some flux to the bottom and it'll just flow across. Bring my airflow back to 40%. And there we go. That's it. That's all you need to do. We're going to let all of that solidify. I'm going to let it all cool down. And I'm not going to bother cleaning these. There's really no point. I would clean them if I was selling them. But there's really no point in cleaning these because we're going to be dropping these on the board. And they're basically going to be covered in flux again anyway. So I might as well just leave them as they are. Save some isopropyl alcohol and do all of the cleaning when I need to. Once they're actually on the board, right? So that's going to be the plan. That's just started to solidify. So now I can move on to the rest of them, prep those other ones, and basically get them ready for installing onto the board. So I've got 6 more that I need to do. Okay, I am pretty much ready to install these to the board. So I've got 8 of these now, as you'll see. All lovely. Good stuff. So they're all ready to go. I just need to separate them and then I can get to installing them on the board. once they cool down because they're way too hot. In fact, that one's probably still molten. Yeah. So is that one? That one's not, just about. So these two I can separate. So I should bring these out of the way. Damn it. They're soldered together. Lovely. They've stuck together because of the pads on the edges. Don't worry, it's fine. Just go like this. Come on. There we are. Separate those. And then, like I say, I just need to snip them. So there's that one. Just going to clean up the edges a little bit. They don't have to be perfect. And unless you sit there filing them down, you're not going to get them perfect. By the way, don't worry if the tops and bottoms of these are bridged, like for example on this one, because it's not going to cause any issue. They are electrically connected. So if, for example, that one there is bridged to that one, don't worry. As long as they're facing the right way, it's going to be fine. And you're probably not going to get every single one of them perfect, you know, every single component perfectly aligned as well. Because, well, we're not robots, right? Don't worry, that will flow down as I install it. I will actually reflow that one. It's a little bit high. There we are, that's all trimmed down, looking nice. Just going to press down on a couple of these. There's a little bit too much solder on that one. Not happy with how that's sitting. Okay, that'll do. I need to stop with the OCDs. It's fine the way it is. Alright, so back on the board here then. As long as you've got the polarity correct on the actual tantalizers, it doesn't matter which way you put these. So, for example, if you look at the PCB here, you can see that we've got a pad lining up for each one, right? So, like I said, it doesn't matter which way you put it, as long as it's obviously, you know, facing the right way that way. So, yeah, so for example, you can put one like that, and then you can put one like that. Or you can flip one around. Or you can flip both around. It doesn't make a difference. And the reason for that is because of the way it's wired on the actual PCB. So the middle pads obviously connect to the middle pads, and the top and bottom pads connect to the top and bottom pads. So this top pad and this bottom pad are connected together, I believe. And the same for the middle pads. So, or not connected together, but they're not going to make a difference, you know, based on the orientation. So we can have it sitting opposite like that, and it doesn't make a difference. Or if you want to get real fancy, you can have them both facing the right way. For some weird reason, I like to have them facing that way. I don't know why, it's just the way I do it. So yeah, we'll place those like that. And I'll do the same on this one as well. And then I'm going to flow these down using hot air. So when you're flowing these down, if you've got the components already installed, you do need to be careful so as not to knock the components when the actual solder's molten. So don't go pressing down and stabbing down on the board. Just let the hot air do the work for you, and you shouldn't have any issues. You'll see when this solder becomes molten, which is getting pretty close. There we are. So once that happens, it should just sit in place. If you've got a very steady hand, you can press down on it. So I do tend to press down on it, but that's just because I can keep my hand incredibly steady. And then once it's solidified, I can just let go. You'll notice when they're on the board, it does solidify a lot quicker as well, because the heat's transferring through the board at the same time as well, right? Okay, I'm just going to wait for that to solidify again. If you want to improve the connection, you can add some solder to the edges on the top. I don't, but if you want to be absolutely sure, you can do that. I don't actually know. I don't think I added leaded solder on this side, to be honest. I don't feel like I did, but I can't remember. So I'll do it now. Okay, that feels better. Not gonna lie, that felt better. Yeah, there's definitely no leaded solder on these ones. So I think I'm right there. I don't think I added solder to this side. I think I forgot to do it. Not gonna lie, it's pretty satisfying watching those sit down in place. Alright, we are done. Good. So that's what it looks like. And then on the other side we've got that there. I'm going to let that cool down, and I'm going to give the PCB a good clean. Get this flux off here. I also want to get the thermal paste off as well. And yes, I know what people are going to say. They're going to say I should be de-lidding this and whatnot, but I'm not experienced enough for that stuff, personally. Know your limits. Okay, there's that side. There's that side. I'm going to remove the UART point. There we are. And now I'm going to get this back together temporarily, just enough for testing. Yeah, I don't think I was going nuts. I think this was definitely glued on there, right? Okay, so I'm going to be replacing all of this case and stuff at some point, so I'm going to clean this off for now, but I'm not really that worried about like the thermal paste and stuff as long as it actually works. I am going to clean it as best I can, but all of this is going to get replaced. I'm going to have to find a replacement case out for this because it's all rusted and the base plastics are, you know, they've been chopped into, and yeah, I'm not going to be reusing any of this case and stuff. To be honest, this one I might give it a full test and stuff and then resell it just as a working board, right? That might be a little bit more economically viable, because I'm not going to be using this one myself. I will be reselling it. I might just sell it as a working board. I feel like they're becoming a little bit harder to come across and stuff now, so I think people would be interested in buying it as a working board. Okay, it's been a few days. It's been about 3 or 4 days since I recorded this video, and I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not going to, you know, dox anyone or call anyone out or anything, but a certain moron on YouTube forgot to charge his microphones and they died halfway through the video. So unfortunately, I've got to pretty much re-record this. So the console got put back together, and unfortunately it doesn't work. So let me show you what's happening with it. So if we try right now and turn this on, so let me just grab a power cable here. There we are. So we get a red light. Ignore the mess on my desk. I've just done my store orders. Consolefix.shop if you want to buy any parts, by the way. I've just done my store orders, and I was just editing this video so I can get it out tonight. But yeah, overhead cam. Yeah, ignore the mess on my desk. And this isn't the part for this PS3. This is a part for another PS3, which I'm working on. But let me just show you what's actually happening with this. So if I try and turn this on, everything looks great, right? So the console's turning on now, but there's a problem. It's not actually working. So I've connected it up to the AV cable. I've got that connected up to my capture card and all of that. But when I actually go to the game capture USB, you'll see here we've got a blank screen. Nothing's working on it. But if I connect it up to HDMI, and this HDMI is to the monitor off to the side. So if I just connect this up here, I'll just untangle it. Everything's a mess right now. If I connect that up to there, so that's connected to my microscope, right? So as you'll see here, microscope is working. So that display works, right? That is overheating, but never mind. Unplug that. I've got to press on the plate now because it is getting warm. Nothing. Just reset straight back to the PC. Try it again, just once more. Nothing. Dead. Not displaying at all on any device, so neither AV or HDMI. So if I just shut this off here, I'm going to try and boot this into safe mode. So I'm going to press and hold the power button. There we go. Okay. HDMI 2. Is it going to boot into safe mode? Spoiler alert. No. And of course, blank screen on the capture card. And I know the capture card works as well. So yeah, absolutely nothing. So it's turning on, which is more than it was doing before, but it's not actually working. It's just a green light of death. That could be the HDMI encoder. It could be the South Bridge or the Syscon, whatever it is, or more likely it's a dead RSX. Maybe, I don't know. But that being said, we got further than we did before, and there are some parts which I'm going to be able to use on it, right? So worst case scenario, I'll just sell it for parts and I'll recoup money that way, and yeah, at least we've got a video out of it, right? So yeah, that is going to be it for this video. Unfortunately, it was a no fix. I'm sorry I've had to re-record it. A lot went wrong on this video. The microphones died and I didn't realise, and then obviously on top of that there was bad audio earlier on as well. But yeah, what can we do? Anyway, with that being said, don't forget to get subscribed. I've got a very, very interesting PlayStation 3 job coming up, and I'm in the middle of working on that at the minute. I won't give any spoilers, but be sure to get subscribed so you don't miss that. And yeah, obviously, if you need any parts and supplies, you can get those on my online store, and also you can book in a repair with me at thecodeout.repair. But thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thank you all for the support, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.